Hello and welcome to P3 Kids podcast. My name is Opal Singleton. I'm with President and CEO of an organization called Million Kids, millionkids.org. And we're an organization dedicated to keeping kids safe from predators. We've been doing that for about 17 years now. It's hard to believe that time passes when you're having fun, right? Anyway, what I want to talk to you today about is literally, as the headline said, the numbers are staggering. Online child sex crimes are on the rise in a way we have never seen before. Now, many of you that are listening to this podcast have probably met me somewhere along the line. I've been doing this for 15, 17 years, and I've trained about 750,000 people eye to eye, and somewhere, who knows how many, by Zoom over time. And I try to be realistic. I don't believe in melodrama. I hate melodrama. Quite frankly, this problem is serious enough. We do not need to enhance it. Everything that we do is based on real cases, and we try to use research that we can validate. People that we know have honest intentions and have real numbers. Now, I'm not the only person at Million Kids. There's about 8 of us. Most of us, we call ourselves seasoned professionals. That's because we're a bunch of old codgers that had other careers, but do this because we care about kids. Some are retired law enforcement. We have one private investigator that's active. There are several of us, and during the day, we will comb through all the latest stories that are out there, including the latest research. Now, for more than 15 years, I've spent my life combating child sex crimes, especially online exploitation of minors. People will say to me, that is so negative, Opal. Why don't you give it up? There are days I wonder about this myself. It seems like nobody really wants to hear about it. I can guarantee you I'm a real hoot at a dinner party. Nobody ever asks about what I do for a living, if you call this a living. But it's amazing to me how few people want to hear it. But I believe this is life-changing. I believe it is world-changing. And the numbers are staggering. I just went on vacation. I've been gone about 3 weeks. It was just a wonderful time. Thank you. I really, really needed it because this work gets heavy and you have to take it in small doses. And that's why I want to educate you so that you can be a leader. You know, we're all getting older, and this is taking on a new form in a way that I think it's the greatest call to leadership of all times. Whether you're a parent or a grandparent or a teacher, God bless you if you are, or a pastor or maybe a rabbi or a civic leader, we need leaders to take this on, because of what I'm about to tell you in the numbers is mind-blowing from my standpoint. So what has happened is that this crime of online exploitation is just exploding around the world. Now, many of you might know that I have a book. It's about to come out, hopefully next week. It's just waiting for my final edit. And I want to do this podcast, and then I'll edit it and we'll get it out there. And that book is called Digital Warfare, Our Kids on the Front Line. And it is exactly that. It's all about the fact that so many of us don't realize what is happening. It's about the crime of online exploitation. Now, I've been combating that for 15 years. And when it first started, I would get a kid that would just be terribly upset because they've been lured into sending a nude. I would send them off to a school resource officer or maybe a therapist or even law enforcement. And those people would look at that kid and go, what the hell were you thinking? You know, why did you send a nude? If you don't send a nude, you won't get exploited. Well, that was then, and this is now, because you don't have to send anything now to be exploited. We have literally artificial intelligence called DEEPFAKES, where anybody and every one of us can be exploited. This is why I'm grateful that you're willing to listen to this podcast, because we have to change the mindset on how this is approached. This is not just some kid who made a mistake. Now, okay, there are plenty of kids who made a mistake. I've always thought it's a crazy concept to put a hormonal teenager, 12, 13, 14 years old, on the World Wide Web when nobody is looking and tell them, don't get seduced, baby. Are you kidding me? I mean, just the concept of putting kids online around the world is a recipe for disaster. It always has been. But I also know that I've never met a kid yet that wants to be violated. But we put them online without defining what is a good relationship. What's this going to look like? Because every person I've ever met, including you, mom and dad, will say, no, it's not going to happen to me. My kid's a good kid. It's not going to happen to me. I'm smart. Are you kidding me? The people that are doing this are very good. And with artificial intelligence, they can create deep fakes. And every one of us can easily become a victim of this. So we need you to be a leader to help take this on and change the conversation that is out there. And that's exactly what I'm talking about. This is a conversation, mom and dad. Don't wag your finger. Sit down with your kids and share this information with them. It's going to take all of us working together to keep our kids safe online. So I want to talk to you today about these reports that I have on here, because what has happened is the numbers have almost doubled in the last 6 months. And that is just hard to comprehend. And this is a crisis moment and a true call to leadership. I often say, and I will say in my book that's out there, with artificial intelligence, with mass audience live streaming, think about what that means. Your kid is not on there with their 45 best friends. They're on there with more than 5 billion other users when they go online. And we have geolocation software. They know everything about where you're located. Artificial intelligence. We saw one case where the kid said, Mom, they know everything about me. They have pictures of you and where you work. They had a picture of our house and my room. Their house had been on Zillow. But my point is, we have these technological advances and they are happening at the speed of light. And we all seem to be just sailing on with earmuffs over our head because nobody wants to look at it. I'm thanking you that you're willing to listen to this podcast and hear about it and equip yourself. Every one of us will be at risk, and these numbers indicate that. You see, this is all about today's statistics and where we're headed in the future. You might have heard me say this before, but our kids right now, those that are like 13 to 19 years old, are the first generation of young people that will be online and be connected to the entire world. They can reach the entire world and the entire world can reach them. There needs to be a movie made about this subject of what that means. This is no longer about us just wagging our finger and saying, you be careful on that thing now, which they certainly need to be. And so do you, mom and dad, grandma and grandpa, and all the rest of us. But you won't even need to send the nude to be a victim. But when this kind of thing happens to a child, it changes their life forever. People say, why do you do this? And I say, I know it's a negative subject, but I care deeply about our kids, and the number of kids who have their lives changed forever will set the stage for all future generation of kids. You see how we train these kids. I need to lower my voice because I'm screaming, aren't I? Okay, let's try this again. How we train this generation of young people to live in a globally connected world will set the stage for all future generations. And that's why this is so important. You see where you're at today, mom and dad, and pastor and grandpa, and grandma, where you're at today will impact generations of kids to come, because this generation will teach all future generations of what it's like to live in a globally connected world. So we're going to talk about the numbers and how this has gone wrong, because that's what I promised you, that the numbers are truly staggering. So I went on vacation. It was a great vacation, by the way. I loved it. I went overseas and took my husband, and we had a fabulous time. But I came back to 3 reports that make me want to get on top of a building and scream to the highest heaven until we get somebody's attention. Now, first, before I give you these reports, I want to acknowledge the creators of the reports, because without their work, I couldn't be sharing this with you. So the first one comes from NCMEC. That is National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. They are the premier leader across the world for trying to keep your child safe from predators. They run the hotlines, the biggest hotlines. Okay, FBI, Homeland Security, and other organizations run them also. But NCMEC, by the way, it was started by John Walsh of America's Most Wanted. Not America's Got Talent, although he's got talent. Okay, but America's Most Wanted started NCMEC a long time ago. Today, it is this massive organization that is taking a huge number of leads. In the last couple of years, they've taken as many as 39 million leads a year, 39 million leads on potential online child exploitation. I want to make something very clear. That's with only 15% of the electronic service providers scrubbing their platforms for the nudes of your children that have posted them online, and trying to get the electronic service providers like Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, Meta, all the rest to take them off. Only 15% reported the nudes they found online. The rest were call-ins or findings of other ways that were reported where children's nudity or sexual images were online. 39 million. That's almost 100,000 a day. There is no law enforcement agency in the world that has the capacity to investigate that many child sex crimes. And so that's why you are so important in this fight, because we need to be able to educate our kids to educate the next generation. They're going to listen to their older brothers and sisters before they listen to you and me. But who is going to train those older brothers and sisters? Okay, so what happens is NCMEC normally reports annually. It comes out usually about March, and I do a podcast. They did this year on it because the numbers in that case were staggering. And we're saying, where is this going? Well, in only 6 months, some of these numbers have nearly doubled from last year's numbers. That tells you that it's not getting better, that it's getting more and more horrific on what is happening out there. So let me give you some of these numbers. I promised I need to do that. So from NCMEC, from January 1st to June 30th, 2025, online enticement, meaning a stranger meeting up with a young person online, enticing them into some sort of illicit activity, whether it's a meetup, God forbid, and it does happen more than you want to know, and your child's life will never be the same if they meet up with someone they met online. But sometimes it's just interacting with them, getting them to send a nude or send enough that someone can use artificial intelligence to make a nude out of it. So online enticement in 6 months of 2025 has gone from 292,000 to 518,000 in 6 months. Okay. That's nearly doubled. It's a huge number. It's about, 60 some percent. I think I looked it up. Sadistic online enticement. Now, this is stuff I can't even say on the air. This is like sex with animals and harming people in ways they should never be harmed. It doubled in number. It went from 508 to 1,093. I'm going to do a takeoff here for a minute since you're willing to listen to me. This is the greatest danger of putting a prepubescent child online. It doesn't say how old the victims are in this case. But one of the things that happens in prepubescent children is a pedophile will hook up with them on an app like Roblox or a little kid's game, and they will start to send them videos of other little kids having sex or even worse stuff. That means your child, before they're ever old enough to even know what a healthy sexual relationship should be, has seen horrific pornography that none of us should ever see. And they did it before they ever went through puberty. So sadistic online enticement has doubled in the last 6 months because I believe probably more younger kids are being put online. Financial sextortion has gone from almost 14,000 cases, the number is 13,800 something, to literally 23,900, almost 24,000 cases. Now, why is that so bad? Financial sextortion, I've done podcasts on this ad nauseum, by the way, but I want you to be aware this is one of the most dangerous kinds of dangerous kinds of sextortion that's out there. And in a nutshell, to try to give you the 30-second version, what is happening is as third world countries, these developing countries that are very poor, are going online. And now they not only are online with high-speed internet, they have geolocation software, they have artificial intelligence, they have money processing. They can seduce your child in ways you've never believed before. They can make your child think they know them. I'm a friend of a friend, and God, they're awful cute, especially at 2 a.m. when they're just hooking up. But financial sextortion is even more scary because it targets historically very, very successful young males. Most of them are 13 to about 19 years old. And think about it, they're sports stars and homecoming kings that have all these articles that are online about them. Artificial intelligence allows people around the world to gather up that information on your child. They know where you live. They have pictures of your house. They know that your son is being recruited by a football team, or that he's a homecoming king, or your daughter is a homecoming queen. And they get that information and they use people to seduce your child. I'm a friend of a friend. That's often how it looks. And they get them in a weak moment. These are kids who normally not even online. I get so frustrated when I hear pastors go, well, our kids are really good kids, so we don't really have to hear about all this bad stuff because I don't want to scare them. So let's put them in an environment where they don't have any understanding of how they're going to be seduced and they can't protect themselves, and they're going to be naive and they are going to be targeted. That is crazy thinking. We need to be leaders and come alongside and prepare our kids. Like I said, I've never met a kid yet that wanted to be violated, but it is up to us as parents, as leaders, to understand how these crimes work and be able to prepare them so they don't get seduced. If we are putting our kids online with 5 billion people, we need to give them the hints of how this works. They're going to get you in a weak moment, and it's going to look like somebody you know or who knows somebody you know, and they're going to seduce you. They may start sending you sexy pictures. Our kids ought to understand a sexy picture should be a red flag. Run, baby, run. Go get out of there. Nobody sends you a sexy picture that cares about what's going to happen to you. And anybody who wants your sexy picture is not going to be your friend. It will end badly. Okay, I know you've been online for 3 or 4 years. And by the way, that's exactly what they do. They target kids that have been online for a long time. Their parents go, this guy's 6 feet tall and he weighs 250 pounds and he's 17 years old. I quit checking his phone. That does not mean we quit having these conversations. They will start to look like a friend or a friend of a friend. And they will, one of the first things they'll do is they'll move you to another site. They will move you off your site. Hey, let's talk over here. If you're on a dating site, they move you offline. If you're on Snapchat, they'll move you over to TikTok or vice versa. They're trying to verify if you're law enforcement, and they're trying to build your confidence. Anybody who asks for a nude is not your friend. So what will happen is the minute you send the nude, your life becomes living hell. They all of a sudden start coming after you, and they want money. One kid got over 1,000 texts in a 24-hour period. Another kid killed himself within 36 minutes of sending that nude. We cannot allow our kids online, and especially our young males, if they don't know what financial sextortion is. It's all about developing countries who now have online access to our children, that have learned that our kids know how to get seduced and how to pay for it. And they see that as a multi-million-dollar business. But the problem is your child has gone immediately into being absolutely clobbered, absolutely online, taken advantage of by some of the hardest core cartels in the world. When you put your child online without explaining what is happening, your child is up against some of the most difficult people you'll ever meet. And what is scary to me is more than 40 young males have taken their life. It doesn't have to happen. You should never allow your child online, especially your young male children, until you sit down and go through YouTube and put in teen suicide and financial sextortion and look at those stories and help our children understand. Become a leader with Million Kids. We will educate you. They doubled the number of cases in only 6 months of this year. That's why I say the numbers are staggering. Another number that's staggering is the number of child sex trafficking, where your child is put out into forced prostitution. That number went from nearly 6,000 to over 50,000. That is because now the service providers are required to report it under the new Reported Act. My point is that we have seen story after story. I hope that you will follow us. I look at these numbers that are coming out, and it is absolutely mind-boggling. The number of kids that are online that have sent a nude. 1 out of 6 boys and 1 out of 7 girls have sent a nude. That must stop today. We have to have the conversations with our kids that a nude online will change your life forever. If somebody sends you a nude, run, baby, run. Get help. Ask for help. Don't be embarrassed. That is a sign you are about to become a victim of sextortion, and nobody would wish that on you. Another report that just came out that said literally 20% of respondents of males and 26 respondents of girls have said they have been sextorted. So these numbers are truly staggering. We have some more numbers like that. I hope that you will follow Million Kids at millionkids.org, and I hope that you will share this information with everyone that you can. You can write to me at opal@millionkids.org and find out how to get yourself trained. If you follow millionkids.org on our newsletters, you will get free training. If you listen to these podcasts, you will get free training. Go onto YouTube and Google my name, Opal Singleton, at millionkids.org. You can get free training. Come to terms with this. We need leaders at churches. We need leaders at school. We need therapists who are leaders. We need educators that are leaders. We need pastors who will take this on. This does not have to happen. I know that if we will recognize what is happening and sit down and educate ourselves, that we can prepare kids to be the leaders for the next generation of kids. We can save thousands of kids if we will educate our kids to do so. We are about to release our new digital ebook. It will be called Digital Warfare, Our Kids on the Front Line. I would ask you to order that. Yes, we are going to charge for it. My apologies, but we have to raise funding for 1 million kids to keep this work together. If you want to donate and support our work, we would greatly, greatly appreciate it. Go to millionkids.org, hit that donate button. I see each and every donation that comes out. It is how we continue to work with you to become a leader, and I hope you will do it. Well, thank you for listening. I so much appreciate you. Take the time to educate yourself. And most important, have those important conversations with your family. Put your arms around your spouse, put your arms around your family. Let them know that we love them, that you love them, and that you're there for them, and that you will do whatever it takes to help keep your kids safe online. We'll see you next time on the next podcast. Safe online. We'll see you next time on the next podcast.